These are a little specks of copper that are all over here. Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. We have few ECMs today. Now, first pair, this is actually the ECM that the customer purchased from me with the VIN programmed into it, but when he received it, the car reported compatibility issues. All right, the code 17 something, I don't remember, but described as compatibility problem. And I wonder why. Yeah, it's a completely different ECM. I don't know how did the customer match this one. It's beyond me. But this one also, let's see. Can we do it without the tool? There you go. This one is with IC608. So if it misfires, we can just resolder IC608. If it has EVAP short or fan circuit short or those kind of issues, we can also repair it. So the cloning is not needed. But if there's something else wrong with it, or the customer insists on cloning, well, then I need the correct replacement. I'm not gonna be cloning it to this one because I know it's not gonna work. That's why it reported compatibility issues. Now this one is the one that has two shorted diodes, and that causes EVAP circuit short. I located one of the diodes available from China. It's about 35 bucks, something like that, for that one diode, but the second diode I cannot match. I don't know what kind of diode it is, so the best option is to just clone it. This is also a version with IC608, so just to be sure, we're gonna resolder IC608 just so it doesn't come back again with misfires. And since it's used one off eBay, we don't know, maybe it did have misfires. And a lot of those listings for ECMs come with no returns not accepted. So sometimes you buy basically a broken ECM. It happened to me once so far. And there's not much you can do. It's kind of a risk you take. No way around it. Because otherwise, you can just, purchase a new one. The dealership will charge you about $1,200 to maybe $1,600. If you want to do it yourself, you can purchase the part from Subaru Parts. It's about $700 with tax and shipping, maybe a few bucks over. And then you need to have it either cloned or programmed to your VIN. So the whole deal will cost you maybe $900. That's why cloning to the replacement ECMs is usually a good choice. Meaning less, there's a little bit of risk involved, but you're risking, $60, $80. Sometimes closer to $160, depending on the ECM. And sometimes, especially the ones 86A and 37A, they can go for as high as $500. So sometimes it's a little bit more risky, and they are also notorious for misfiring. So sometimes you get it for $500, you clone it, and you get misfires. It happens. There's risk involved in everything in life. No way around it. All right, let's do it. Nice lady Saturday. Well, not really lazy because I got plenty of work. Maybe I'll start working again on that PSU that I couldn't repair. But the problem with that PSU is that I could not match the actual chip, or the pinout of the chip doesn't really align with what I see on the board. All right, one pin. I mean, ground is fine. The ground goes to ground. That's good. But VCC goes to a transceptor, so that's definitely not a VCC. So I don't know. Either I'm measuring something wrong, which is obviously a possibility and very likely possibility, or this chip comes with multiple pinouts, which is also a possibility, but I couldn't find any other pinout of that chip. Which doesn't mean that it's not the case, right? Okay, we get a message from the owner of this one, and he suspects bad solders. When connecting stuff, just Tahoe goes off, or some other stuff. So basically we have to inspect it for bad solders. We'll see. We shall see. Why do I never remember which side? This side, yeah, I think. Oh my god. Too many different too many different adapters, and I can never remember. So the way I do it, I just plug it in one way, and I touch the chip. If it starts getting hot, it's the opposite, because the ground and the VCC are exactly on the opposite sides. So if you flip it, you flip the polarity of ground and VCC. So the chip starts getting hot because there's an internal diode. Well, let's dump this one, clone it on the other one, and maybe let's do IC608 resoldering, and then let's check out the supposed cold solders on the other one. Although I've never seen any cold solders on harness, like, ever. Not to say that it's not possible. I've seen it with other guys. Actually, recently, the video. There you go. The video when the car is running. I don't remember which one was it. I think Toyota. And you take the screwdriver and start tapping on the connector of the ECM, and suddenly car dies, right? But personally, I've never seen that. At least not on Subaru. And this is the order number 181142655533. Okay. So let's check it out. I don't expect much. I would just clone it personally, because that at least gives you the, peace of mind. Or at least, because sometimes recently, well, that was actually a while ago, the other channel, Joy of Fixing, sent me the ECM, also with weird issues, and I couldn't find anything, so I cloned it and I sent him both ECMs. Right? He put the clone in, and the issue returned. So we eliminated that. It's definitely not the ECM's fault. So that's why cloning is sometimes a good diagnostic tool to just kind of eliminate whether it's at all ECM related. Because some of those subtle issues can be ECM related, for sure, but it's also more likely that there's something wrong with the car. And considering, look at the size of this, right, and the size of the car, how many things can go wrong here? There's quite a few, obviously, but usually these are not subtle issues. Usually it's, well, like with IC608, cold solder or solder issues. Sometimes maybe cracked solder or something like that, which causes intermittent issues. But on average, when something's wrong here, it's prominent and it's permanent. It's usually not subtle issues. But the only way to actually confirm is to replace, right? And that gives you the ability to eliminate whether your ECM is at fault or not. Well, anyways, a lot of stuff going on in the news lately. It's actually even hard to pick a subject, even if I wanted to pick an interesting subject. There's so much going on. Recently, I've been glued to the Snow White backlash. And not because I feel one way or the other about the whole thing. I actually couldn't care less. But some people do. And you have to remember when you start playing around with a classic like that since 30s, and obviously when I was a kid we had books with beautiful illustrations and stuff, even before Disney acquired that story, or I don't even know how the whole thing, but that was, I think, Grimm brothers that wrote that one. And this was very popular in Poland when I was a kid. The stories by Grimm brothers. Snow White probably wasn't my favorite one. I don't remember my favorite one. But it's understandable that a lot of people can feel very emotional about that movie. It's part of their life, part of their childhood. So it's kind of understandable that if a young, beautiful lady, very young, I don't know how old she is, but she looks to me like she's in her 20s, starts kind of, I don't know, questioning the story itself. And that's from what I know. I don't know much about the industry, but from what I know, actors are just supposed to act. They're not responsible for the actual story, especially since you're an actor and you're playing in a story that has been written a century ago. All you gotta do is just, look pretty and follow the lines that you've been given. It's not that hard. I mean, not to say that acting is not hard, I can do it, obviously. But, it's not that hard to, if you can act, it's not that hard to just, do your job. Who asked you to even voice those opinions? And nothing wrong with having opinions. Obviously, she was born in completely different era than we were, and she grew up with cell phones and computers and the internet and stuff, right? So obviously it's gonna be different for her, but it's not your job to advocate for, and exactly what for exactly. It's like, it felt like she was advocating for the ones that have no voice, or like taking high moral ground on the issue, oppression and stuff. It's not oppression, it's an old story, and back in the day, that's what it used to be. The most fulfilling thing you could do with your life is to find a wife or a husband, have kids, and live happily ever after. That was the goal, right? If you don't like it nowadays because it's dated today, well, it's still the same story, It's not like anyone asked you to take that story and just kind of make it relevant in 2025. Just, know your audience. I think in her case, she completely missed that point. That you have to know your audience, because it's the audience. It might feel like it's the Disney that pays your bills and Disney that gives you a paycheck, but no, your paycheck actually is coming from your audience. It's coming from the people that are gonna want to enjoy that movie. Because if they don't go to see that movie, then well, maybe you'll still get paid. I'm sure you will. That it's Disney that will lose the money, not the actor. Sure, but I think you'll have issues finding another job. And since you're pretty young, that might be the issue. This is an unfortunate reality that, if you're hired for your pretty face, then, you have kind of a small window of 5, maybe 8 years where you can capitalize on that. If you kind of destroy your career for 8 years and you have to wait 10 years for people to just, stop talking about it and just let it go, then, you kind of missed your window. That's not a good decision. But on the other hand, what do you expect from the 20-some-year-old. I think people are being a bit too harsh with her. You know, it's not like she's a politician. It's not like you voted for her. She's a dumb 20-year-old. That's your job as a 20-year-old. Your job is to make mistakes. Your job is to be dumb. And then when you're in your 40s, you look at all the things that you did in your 20s, and you say to yourself, damn, I was so dumb. Well, at least I do. So, I think people are being a bit too harsh. But, consequences are what the consequences are. I'm actually not sure. I said I followed the story, but I'm not even clear. Did she get fired from that movie, or did they just get the younger version to just take some screen time away from her to make this more likable movie? Maybe. I don't know actually. I guess I'm not following it that harsh. I'm not following it that closely. People keep saying that it's the woke stuff, right? But I don't think it's the woke. I think it's just people unnecessarily voice their opinion, and look at it from her perspective. I think someone did talk about that. She rised to fame very quickly, right? She was nobody on one day, and a month later, she's on every television screen across the country. That is a tough position to be in. Just think how many of us would have handled it better. I don't think I would. What was it? Starts with 18, so it's this one, and not that I'm defending her. I'm just trying to understand the situation and just put yourself in the position of someone else, and you'll see that it's always a bit more complicated than it seems. It might seem simple, and you might feel like, I would have done a lot better, but we don't know until we know. We don't know until we're actually in the situation. And Hollywood, in particular, is a beast of its own. So, unless you work in Hollywood, you can't really know what you would do and how you would react. And it is, it's not even about, because people call her, narcissist and like all those, all those terms that are meant to be slightly criticizing, right? But she's an actress, right? What did you expect? That she's not going to be at least slightly narcissistic? I think that it's even worse when people are being narcissistic, but just denying it in a way. Like I've seen that in case of some YouTubers making it very prominent that they don't want fame and they don't care about fame, and you know, that's in my view, that's even worse. You know, if you don't want fame, then do what all the other people do. Just don't do YouTube. Don't publish your content. That way, you won't be famous. You won't be known. But clearly, if you're on YouTube, clearly you have a little bit of narcissism in you, a little bit of self-involvement, especially if your channel is, mainly about you, right? Maybe a vlog or something like that. I understand it's a job and stuff, right? The job is the job. That's what the job entails. You gotta be on camera every day and show people you're alive or whatever. But don't just turn around and say that, no, I don't watch my channel because I don't want any fame. I don't want any viewers. Well, at least she is staying true to her narcissism. She appears to think that she's above everyone else, and I think it's the Hollywood that made that, created that behavior. Like as soon as you become famous, suddenly you have to have opinions and you have to voice those opinions, and it's not just her. Like every single actor, suddenly I'm famous, so suddenly I need to be an expert in. Suddenly I need to have political views. Suddenly I need to be, because people listen to me. So suddenly I have to be this knowing more because I was someone cast me in the movie, and for that reason, suddenly my opinion matters. That kind of thing. And not only my opinion matters, but I'm obligated to share my opinion. It's my duty because I was chosen for the movie instead of the other guy. You know? Of course it doesn't make sense, but again, that's what Hollywood kind of created. All those stars. Not even in Hollywood, in the music industry as well. Suddenly you have to endorse one president or the other, or you have to talk about wars in the other countries and stuff. Why would you? Why would you do this to yourself? I think even if she just, took it all back and apologized and say that, I didn't know and stuff like that, I don't think that would even help her. I mean, that would probably help her personally if she just kind of self-reflected enough to recognize that this is probably not the best behavior to be exhibiting. That would be good for her, but still not good for her career. I think the damage is done, and I don't think many people would want to work with her after all this. And it's maybe not even just personality, because I hear it's not the best. But it's just the liability, the risk factor. I don't know. You invest millions in a movie, and then one actress just kind of, you know, ruins it for you. And it's your fault. You kind of you chose her, and I'm sure it's, you know, the majority of that process to pick an actor is just visual aspect, right? She's pretty enough, she good, right? um, but that personality also needs to kind of shine. And she would have been successful, because maybe the movie would not be successful as it is now, right? Like Snow White bossing around the little dwarfs. It's probably, you know, because that's not what the persona of the Snow White was. I couldn't care less whether her skin is white or brown or green or yellow. Uh, what makes the Snow White is her personality. That's what makes you root for the Snow White, not the evil queen, right? But especially since, oh, especially since indeed she is a beautiful woman. So she ticks that box. So I don't think her skin color is a problem to anyone per se. It's her personality that people find inappropriate. Okay, so I don't know about this. Why is it so? Is that an oxidation? What happened to this ECM? What happened to you? Who treated you this way? What is this? Looks like someone was doing measurements, perhaps, on this. Let me show it to you under the big scope. Once I find the cabling. So look at this. Especially here. Right? It's kind of like someone was doing a measurements or something. Like all of these are have been touched the wrong way, like all of them. Here we even have a broken coating. The pad is exposed. Not that it would be an issue, but it shouldn't be that way. What is that? What happened to this? What did you use to make measurements on this? Is the question. And why only on this side here? And here, oh, yeah, I don't know about this one. I would probably clone it. Look at this. These are a little specks of copper that are all over here. All over. This ECM has been touched the wrong way. That is the main issue here. You don't touch ECMs like this. And so many pins. Oh, and here, oh, look at that. We have blue color. Yep. See the blue? That is oxidized copper. Here's another guy that has been touched the wrong way. Oh, what is this? No way. What did... You see that? This is solder. This is solder. Touching nicely to the ground. What the... How did this happen? Are you kidding me? There's a bridge. Or at least visually, maybe not necessarily, but who the heck worked on this? And there's another piece of solder. Like, I would expect that to happen when you try to resolder the pins. So you just kind of suspect the cracked solder or poor solder connection, but you can't visually confirm it. So you confirm it by resoldering. If it helped, there was a crack somewhere. Not every crack must be visible. Not every crack will be visible. But I don't see the actual signs of resoldering. That is the issue here. Now let's, just to satisfy my curiosity, let's get a beeper. And let's find the ground. Okay, well, we have no short between this and the ground, so this is fine. I mean, it's far from fine, but yeah. So no shorts, but you got really lucky here, right? That the solder didn't make a bridge to the ground. Very lucky. And another one here. What was the purpose of this? Yeah, also no shorts, so it's good. And there's the so no shorts. This is even worse. What was the purpose here? Again, pieces of solder just flying around. This has been touched. Oh, oh, it just hurts me looking at it. And look here. And we have more copper and more copper here. Where did it come from? Maybe here. Maybe from here. And yeah, so we were touching the ground over here. Oh my God. What happened to you? My friend, you have been bullied. Someone really wanted to make sure to measure something. It is kind of understandable, because if this was definitely not being done under the microscope, but it's tough to do it under the microscope if it's connected to the car and you just, you connect it because it goes this way. Then you need to kind of flip it to gain access to this. There's a lot of cables. This is not easy. And hold it and try to connect to the pins to measure, whatever you're measuring. So it's kind of understandable that this would be the results of measuring in the car. But that shows you that you probably shouldn't be doing that. The better way is to just, when this is connected, just press over here, right? And then you can connect, this ground here, right? And you know what signal you have. It's better, but I assume the suspicion was that there was a faulty connection between here, this side of the harness, and the board. Again, I have not personally seen it. But if you do have that problem, again, take a screwdriver when the car is running or not running, whatever, start just tapping. Gently. Don't tap too hard. Tap on the ECM, tap at the bottom, at the sides. Because if there is a if there is a cold solder, if there is a poor connection, the tapping will reveal it more, or more likely to reveal it than pushing on it and moving it. But that, of course, you can do it as well, right? If it's connected, start like moving it a little in all directions, like putting pressure here and there. That also, pressure on the cables. That also might reveal poor connection. But whatever you do, don't do this. This is no bueno. This is this is too bad, because it's a nice ECM. And the best option, I would say, is to look at it under the thermal camera. Because you might think it's a poor connection, but it's actually something shorted on the ECM. Okay, well, we're going to publish this video, show it to the customer, what it is, and I suggest just cloning this one. Because I don't see any problems other than what was done to it. But I assume, it was done to it after it was malfunctioning, because otherwise, why would you touch it? So this is not the problem. The problem is somewhere else. But the description of the problem is relatively vague, and it's I mean, it's permanent, it's not intermittent. Jesus Christ, I still don't get how do you make those, how did this happen? What? And that oxidation especially bothers me the most. This thing here. On the one on the right, where is it? Here, this one, this pin in the middle here. It doesn't look like anything under the scope, but here in the center, it's blue, right? So that suggests liquid damage. I would say this suffered some liquid damage. Or it happened after it was measured and there was short, I don't know. But then it could have caused other issues. If there was a short caused by this, it could have caused further damage to the board. Well, that'll do for Saturday. I mean, I'm gonna contact the customer and we'll see what to do with this, but I would just clone it, not mess around with it. And mainly in an effort of saving money, because okay, I'll do something to it, I'll test it on the bench, but the final test is still me sending it to you and you testing it in the car. Another shipping, another few days wasted, you know, and then if it didn't fix the problem, then we're back in the spot where we were, right? So, yeah. Alrighty, thank you fellas very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I guess I shall see you maybe tomorrow. Happy Saturday. Take care.